This is the daily message for July 29th. Today we're going to start looking more at experiments and how experiments are set up. In particular, we're going to look at the role that randomization plays in experiments. Now, how an experiment is set up actually tells us what kind of inference that we can make from that experiment. And there's lots of things that go on into experiments, and depending on how they're set up, like I said, that dictates the type of inference can be made. And this is such a rich topic that there's actually courses that are just offered on what we call experimental design. And so we're just barely going to touch this subject today just to give you kind of an idea. And so when you work on Beyond the Numbers 1.21, that's going to be the purpose of that assignment, is just to kind of give you a look at some of the stuff that goes into an experiment, and in particular the randomization and how the randomization is done, how that controls what kind of inference we can make. Now, additionally, what we're also going to look at today when we're talking about experiments is in Beyond the Numbers 1.22, we're going to start looking at the idea of what's called statistical significance. Now, what statistical significance means is you went out, you performed an experiment, and you got the results, and statistical significance says, well, those results that you saw, they were unlikely due to chance. In other words, something is probably really happening there. So for example, if you set up an experiment and you were trying to figure out whether or not drug A or drug B worked better, and at the end of that experiment, you were able to conclude statistical significance, what that means is that the one drug really did work better than the other one. Whereas if you don't have statistical significance, it's saying whatever results you got were probably just due to chance and the two are probably really the same. And so you're going to look at the idea of statistical significance. Now, we're going to mention it today, and you're going to look at it at a very basic level. You're going to do just a very small calculation to see how that's done, and that's really just to give you a preview. When we get into Module 3, we're going to cover what's called hypothesis testing. And hypothesis testing is really where the idea of statistical significance comes from. So after you get done with today's work, don't completely forget about it. We are going to visit it here in the upcoming weeks. So we're going to kind of look at it today, place it aside, and then come back to that idea. So again, the purpose of today is to look more at experiments. We're going to look at the role that randomization plays in an experiment, as well as when we conclude an experiment, the idea of statistical significance. So as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm here to answer questions, and I will see you tomorrow.